Everybody talks about winning the deal. But what happens after? See, this is where top producers separate themselves from the rest. They compound the success into more. They turn one deal into two, two to three, three to four, and this is a core strategy that goes into their business building playbook. And most importantly, they do this without having to spread themselves too thin and chasing different lead sources. That is what we're going to talk about today. Regrowth, the flywheel phase. So friends, welcome back to another Re-Education Experience podcast. I'm your host, as always, Darren Langille, and this is episode somewhere in the range of 105 if I've got my numbering right. So thank you for being on this incredible journey. If you've been following along, we've been walking through the agent cycle of life, a repeatable system that I coach agents through that mirrors the natural seasons of a real estate agent, just like it does in nature. And that's why this analogy and this set of terms, I believe, has been easily adopted by those I coach because they can think through it as if they think through the cycles that happen out in Mother Nature. So we are talking about the flywheel phase because if you've ever heard the term flywheel, it's kind of another term for this would be self-perpetuation, right? Something that builds upon itself. Now, this would defy the laws of physics, but in our business, the flywheel phase can get created or it cannot. And I want you to be the agent that builds this into their business. So the whole goal with this, as we talk about, is to take one successful sale where I'm a happy client, but then simply turn it into an arrow, meaning I make more from this. 1, 2, 3, 4, or more. So let's dive in here now. Now, I quickly highlighted that we've been on this cycle of life journey. The cycle of life started with the seed phase where we were learning the art of lead gen, right? Then it came to the nurture where we learned how to follow up and kind of build trust and build rapport. Then the harvest came last week where you finally learn how to play realtor, close the deal, celebrate the win, and build incredible client experiences along the journey, right? All three of these now lead up to this infinity, which is the regrowth phase. Right? The flywheel, another way for saying it, is infinity. I would love an infinite business, wouldn't you? All right, so today we're moving into regrowth, the final phase. This is, I would believe, and from my experience only, I can really lean on, this is the most under-leveraged, but potentially biggest impact phase of all. So this episode, guys, is your invitation to stop leaving opportunities that are sitting there on the table and start making your business feel like a flywheel underneath. And if I could put this together in a little picture, you see I've gone through this journey here. We've climbed the mountain with the client and we're right at the very top, which would be happy client, popping the champagne. But our job here is to just nudge this rock that we've climbed the whole hill and allow it to build some momentum for us and compound down the hillside. That's what this is all about. The truth, however, most agents, if I went back to that image, will pause their business right here at the top. They say that is celebration enough. They pause their business the moment that the deal is done. They take a break up here, they celebrate with their clients, and then they forget this golden nugget is sitting here on the top ready to just nudge over the edge. But what we know is top agents, or agents that can climb the ranks fast, where you see them come basically out of nowhere into a successfully, fully fledged agent, is they built momentum quickly. They didn't just create new lead flow and random new hacked leads sources. They know the work begins immediately, right? After the handshake, the keys in the door, and you hand them over and you give them that gift basket. The work begins here, it doesn't end. And I've said this before, your next client will live inside the last one, but it's up to you to go mine it and get it, right? Regrowth is the ability to extract that, to learn those principles from your effort that you already put in to go all the way up this darn giant road, right? Seed, nurture, harvest. It's been a long time coming to get this point where you finally get a commission check, but here we need to go. All right. So what is the regrowth phase, right? Well, we said it's the fourth of the phases of the cycle of life. It's what happens right after you complete the transaction. basically that's where this is, right? The harvest brought us right until the point of successful sale. Now the regrowth starts here, right? Think about in Mother Nature, they've gone and harvested the crop. They've taken all of the things, all the corn off the cob, the grapes off the vine, and now they're left with something kind of empty. But they're preparing the field, they're preparing the vines, they're preparing the trees, they're preparing the soil for next year's, aren't they? Or they're not. They're just like, I'm done farming, right? But instead of treating this like a finish line, like most people do, well, what's on the other side of the finish line? Well, if we flick this, I could switch this over and I could call it the start, couldn't I? Because this is typically where you were with your hands on the starting line, ready for the gun to pop and to say, ready, set, go. This is the same spot. So why not use it to continue your business? This is where the magic of momentum lives. It's just a quick flip where client success becomes the fuel for your future. So we're going to talk about 3 simple regrowth levers for you to think about in your business. And it's just going to give you ideas off of every other framework and the lead gen strategies and all the things that we've talked about to this point. But 3 simple regrowth levers that I want you to consider in your business now that we've taken you through all this way, so that you can leave this podcast, you can mastermind it in your own mind to say, what can I put into practice? Because yes, I do believe I continue to leave those golden nuggets at the top of the mountain, and I just need to start giving it a simple nudges. So the first one we'll call it is the conversation amplification. All right, conversation amplification. What this means is every deal is a permission to talk to more people about what you just did. Even like a permission slip like you would have in school that you would get to go into the hall pass, right? Conversation amplification. Things that we could do here. Now, if we're thinking about amplifying the conversation is I just successfully did something that somebody hired me to do and we're all happy. The result happened, right? This could be knocking on the neighbor's door. This could be knocking on the neighbors across the street. This could be taking over the whole street, right? This could be direct messaging people that inquired to you but didn't purchase. And now you've got a success story to relay back to them. If you drive leads through open houses, direct mail marketing, funnels online, right? If leads have come in somehow, you have another way to amplify the conversation. Keep the things going. Use this storyline to support further conversations, right? We can be using this to call our database, right? This could be, right, updates on a property that's sold near them, updates in a property that's sold in their community, updates about how the market's changed, and here's a great success story about how things are working today, updates about this recent investment purchase that happened that provided X cash flow for somebody. You can imagine all the different layers for which we can use this for. So I want you to think about this. Number one is, am I amplifying the conversation? Like a real world example is simply put this strategy into place around every successful listing I sell, that I will go ahead and knock 25 doors after every listing. That's it. If I just did that for the 12 listings I sell, the 24 that I sell, the 100 my mega team sells, this isn't that you just happen to get lucky into conversations. You're using the leverage available to you to go amplify the conversation. Okay. The second one, you guys, is called, well, instead of conversation application, it's just content creation. It's the word that we use all the time, right? These deals that we do, buy and sell, are the best content engine that we have. There's so many lessons to be told. There's so many stories to be told. There's so much context to provide. There's so much proof of success for which you can utilize, right? And we use it in things like the simple graphic posts, like I just listed, I just sold, right? We overdo this, but we never provide strategy around it. But in my content creation, when I've successfully something, why not pull out the testimonials and use it inside of your posts, the captions, the stories, the videos that you do? Let's not get lazy with just getting the graphic designer to make me look good so that my mom can be proud and give me a like, right? Use the testimonials to your advantage. Use the behind the scenes that got you here. You've polled, you've posted, you've shot video along the journey about how the house had to be, how you changed it, how you prepared it for staging. Well, now pull it all together, you guys, to showcase a story that could be had, that could be told to more, and to kind of add curiosity to more people than just the one that sold and your mother, again, who's watching everything you do, right? These client celebration moments are really fun. They show authenticity. They don't have to be fully highly graphic design. They don't need your logos all over it. And it's their story that you can tell about the journey that you've taken them through, because every one of these is what is it? It's a life change. We move houses, we sell property because a major life event, not just because we wanted to buy Tesla stock today because we felt it was low for the day. And we don't want to just post this once and done, because this is a core piece of content. If you are 3 times the national average of agents and you sell 12 houses a year, meaning once every month, you only have 12 core assets like this to utilize. So why not consider a version of just listed, just sold, with testimonials, behind the scenes, client celebrations, all of this, right? It's here's how we found the home, right? Why this offer actually won. Proof that the market is still strong, right? These are all contextual that we need to go through, right? A lot of people think, well, nobody cares about my client's story, but that's not the case. They don't care about that client's specific story, but if we can frame it right, adjust it, the audience, we want to try to place them in it, right? Use stories to speak to our future clients, not just graphics to prove we exist, okay? So we've talked about conversation amplification. We've talked about content creation, and in your regrowth strategy, what can you do to improve? Are you being lazy with it and you're wondering why my 1 is not equaling 2? That's very likely the case. The third one would just be database. I called it re-engagement. All right. This is the moment we show the past clients, the people in the database, the entire network we've built and curated through all the things we've talked about, that you're truly out working and just relevant in today's world, right? This is where, if we've got our email lists, we would send a portion of any of these stories that we talked about that is typically built for social media, but now tell it in a way on the email campaign. Link to the post about why it matters, right? We can talk to the people that are in our database and let them know that something just closed and that something just closed matters, right? So sometimes our past clients don't hear enough from us directly, do they? But they've experienced our service, right? They've experienced the service, so we kind of have earned the right to talk real estate to them, right? So calling the top 25 referral sources you have in your network, the top A clients, and having a one-on-one about how the market's changed and like how they might be able to pass this message along too. Because they have experienced the service, they're more likely to have a business conversation with you, right? And while you're doing that, use that database re-engagement to simply ask for the referrals that you typically don't ask and you just hope come in, right? Because again, we've won them over. So set simply a post-closed ritual. That's it, right? Regrowth isn't a giant master plan. It's just a phase that gets tapped or doesn't, right? Every time I close a deal, it triggers 3 things. Maybe there's a version of, what was it again? Conversation amplification, right? How do we get it to new cold people? Content creation. How do we get this message further and more relatable to more people? And then how do we engage people in our networks and database more one-on-one to showcase what's going on in today's market, right? So content, drip, call, block, a referral request. Stack this every sale, and it might be a little different for the buy side friends as it is for the listing side. Stack it every time, and then the flywheel we talked about at the beginning starts to spin. And that's all we're trying to do. A real world example about this would be, again, Tesla. Doesn't just deliver cars, do they? They turn each buyer into a walking testimonial. They incentivize referrals, and that's regrowth. Authors, they don't just complete the book and just say it sells, right? They go on tour, they jump on podcasts, they turn each book into like new opportunities for them. That's regrowth. Hockey season just finished. My Oilers lost again in the finals. After scoring a goal or after finishing, what do? Do they leave the ice? No, they go back to where the starting line. They go back to where the face-off is. Why? Because momentum wins games. So they go, shoot the puck, get it in the net. They don't leave. They come back to the starting line, and they start it all over. But now with momentum, right? And you usually see a lot of things happen. Bang, bang, bang after a goal. There's a ton of energy, a lot of excitement. That's why they say 2 goals. Being ahead by 2 goals is the most dangerous lead in hockey, because momentum breeds momentum. And it's like bam, bam, and you see goals happen oftentimes twice inside of a minute all the time. And you're like, how does this happen with the best people in the world still allowing this to happen? This can happen for you. So I'd ask, what if your next round of deals didn't have to come from a full different strategy, another set of cold leads that don't relate to the transaction, right? But from systems you already have set up, that little content checklist, that little ritual that I suggest you just need to have after the last win, whatever that is, however it is, based on the capacity bucket you have, right? What if we stop thinking job done, happy client, and started thinking flywheel activated? That's powerful for me. I want your business to feel easier in time, but it either does or doesn't. I know agents, you know agents that, and you might be that agent, 5 years in, are crushing it. It's never felt simpler. Watching them, the volume that they're doing, it seems absolutely absurd. But then you're thinking, this business seems to not get easier for me. Flywheel activated, flywheel not. So think about that. Maybe that's the one kicker for you as you leave this podcast. So the calls to action that I would have as in this short little kind of wrap-up episode is, if we open up our CRM and we look at our last set of deals, you ask yourself, did I amplify it? Yes, no, right? Did I post about it? Yes, no. What was the quality of it, right? Did I re-engage with my list? At it, right? And finally, did I make this story matter? Did I make it matter? Sorry, I meant to write make it matter. And I think for a lot of us, unfortunately, this phase is not being run. And if we just did this a little bit more, we put some intention to it, we realize we do have some capacity. And why wouldn't I be that person pushing over this giant boulder and starting the momentum in my business? So again, think back through everything we've talked to at this point. Think about the success triangles, think about the frameworks, think about the plus 4, the core 4, talk about the top 5 lead gen sources and which ones are broken down. And your job here is to develop a regrowth phase that works for you. There's not one that works for all, because everybody's capacity in this business is different. Is there one that works for you? So let's stop resetting every month, friends. Your business deserves to build on itself. You deserve to build a business that does this for you. Your family deserves that for us, so it doesn't feel like we're starting from scratch. That is regrowth. That's why this phase is so important to me. That is momentum. And that's how we go from chaos to finally some consistency in this business. So again, this has been another Re-Education Experience podcast with me, your host. Thank you again for being on this journey. If this resonated with you, please come inside of the Rome workshops that I do live, www.reeducation.school. It's available to anybody, team leaders, team agents, everybody in between. You get a mix of people from Redline inside my mega team, people at Real Broker, and everywhere else that's listening. So again, thank you again for being on this journey with me. I hope I nailed it with this episode and got you thinking about how to grow your business as simple as possible. See you again next time.